Hi, everybody. Good evening.
Hey everyone.
Welcome to another Word with the Youth. We're so glad that you're here with us. And you saw it in the title. We're talking about relationships today. I want to thank everybody that participated in our friendships last week. I think we had a really nice conversation. You guys were very active in the chat. So hopefully you can do that as well. So continue to put you in the chat. We're going to see who's watching here with us. I know my ladies put hi. I know that's Mateos. What's up, man? Larissa here. Wow, you put hey everyone. Put hi. Taylor saying hi, guys. Liz saying hi. Manu saying hi. Congratulations, Manu. I know you graduated today. Congrats. Welcome to high school. Philippe saying hello. Giwei saying hey. Hey, Gabi saying hi. Bella, hey, Bella saying hey, guys. Let's see who's watching here with us. If you can just put it in the chat, and we'll give you a moment here to show up on screen with your things. We have a very, very exciting discussion to have with you guys today about relationships. And you'll be hearing from us, just newlyweds, almost 2 months and a half married. You can also be hearing from my sister and my brother-in-law, who just completed 1 month married last week, I believe, right? Or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So how you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
Glad to be here once again.
Yes. And I think we had a pretty good discussion last week about friendships, and I think we pointed out how important it is for us to make sure we're not being influenced by them, and if we are being influenced by them, we make sure that they are blocked out of our lives for the time being, right? So I hope you guys worked on this past week. You worked on making sure you had good friends. I also want to make sure, guys, as we're going through the Word with the Youth today, let me add this doc here. We usually have a Google Doc to be based on, so I'm posting it on the chat, guys. If you want to follow along the doc with us, just click on that link in the chat, the docs, and you can follow along with us. There's a lot of really good materials for you guys to go with us. But anything else before we get started on it?
Post a little picture or video of you watching on Instagram and tag us so I can share it to our story. I really like doing that, shouting you guys out a little bit too.
Yeah, we usually get a couple. Let's make sure we got at least 5 people here that are watching here with us. We have to take a picture of how your setup is. Do you have a Bible in front of you, a notebook, or you're watching on a TV or whatever you are, and then just tag. Make sure you see at the bottom right here at Zion CTC on Instagram. Make sure you tag us in your story so we can repost it as well. Thank you to everybody that's here. Let's see who else.
Manu is apparently very ready to talk about relationships.
Oh, look at that.
She commented, I've been wanting to talk about relationships.
Oh, look at that. Rachel saying olas. Victor saying hey. Cutting against Victor, you're watching with your mom. I think parents are hopeful that we're going to say good things about relationships, and we're going to back you guys up, parents. Don't worry.
I never understood what that little thing, like for example, the Lele is just posted. What is that even supposed to mean?
Me too.
I think she's saying like agreeing to the comment above. Bella said me too, and then she's agreeing.
I just being lazy of writing me too?
Pretty much.
Yes.
Yes, that makes sense.
Good way to do it. So guys, make sure you put that. Did you put it on our Instagram as well?
Lele, I just want to say that all the hair stuff that you mentioned, I already got it. So thank you. Appreciate it. Shout out to Lele with her awesome curly hair lessons.
Hey guys, make sure while you're here, make sure you give it a like on the video and share this link too. Share it with your friends. Let's say we have more people watching than we had last week. Let's beat our record here. And we'll get started in just a bit. We have a couple of other people joining us today. Tyler's gonna be able to do it tonight, but we have, let me bring them up here right now so we have a conversation. I have Raquel joining us again. Thank you, Raquel, for joining us. How are you doing? And I also have the lovely Romeo joining here with us today. What's up, man?
Yeah, what's up? What's up?
There he is. What's up, bro?
I think I wanted to bring people that would have the aspect of people that are single to talk about it in relationships, because on the top right now you have people that are married that have been through long relationships, and then in the bottom you have people that are single. So they can talk about.
Thanks for calling me out like that.
It's a good thing to be single sometimes, So this thing is like weird out here. It's not saying enough. So it's okay. But let's get started, guys. And somebody, Raquel, if you can start us off with the prayer, and then we'll go from there.
Yes, sir. Father God, I'd like to thank you for this beautiful day that you have given us. I'd like to thank you for all the wonderful people on this live watching and participating in it, Jesus. I'd like to ask for your wisdom throughout this preaching, Jesus, and that you may speak to us during this preaching. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
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 Amen. Just making sure again, if you guys want to follow along with the doc, I put it on the live chat. You see on the Zion CTC, there's a link. If you want to click it to follow along or read it after or study afterwards, please, it's available there. I want to get started with the verse that we want to talk about today, which is in Genesis chapter 2, verse 18. And it's, God is at the creation. He's looking at what he created. He's looking at the garden that he created, all the animals, the plantation, and then Adam. And then he sees and he says, in this particular verse, it says, it's not good for man to be alone. Let me actually get the NIV version that I have it open here. If it loads. Yeah, he says, the Lord God said, it is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him. And I think this is the first description that we have of the duties of a relationship, the roles the relationship should play in our lives. And then 2 verses later, God makes Adam go to sleep, and then out of Adam's rib, he makes Eve, and they become the first couple, the first man and the first woman that we know in the Bible. So I think, last week we talked about friendships. We talked about a very important aspect of relationship, which is friendships.
Mm-hmm.
And how important they are for us, how important they are to support us, to help us, to make life be worth living, I guess, and to enjoy life with us. There's so many things that it's good about friendship, especially when they're good for us, when they're helping us, when we get to help them. But I know for our youth and for any youth of the matter, I think a big thing is, who are we going to date? I think a big thing for a lot of people is, who am I going to marry? I think if you were to give you this opportunity right now to say, hey, God is giving you an ability you can look into who you're going to get married. I think most of us would either would want to take a peek and see who we're going to end up with in a couple of years. Romeo, would you take that chance if God comes down and says, hey, man, I can show you who you got married to?
Most definitely. I'll be the first one online.
How about you, Raquel? Would you try to find out who it is? No, you'd be more.
That's the best part about it.
Yeah, I guess figuring it out. I agree with you. I think I'm the curious person. I would want to find out anyway, but I see your side for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when we're younger, Talita in this case, I think if you were to say that you would get married to who you're married now, Tally, I think you would be surprised. Right? Just to point out, guys, we're going to share a little bit of testimonies and whatnot still today. So you're going to be surprised by some of our stories. I think me and Lala have more of the old type of relationship, straightforward. You just have
a normal story. You guys have a normal story.
Yeah, I don't know story. And then Talita and Alex have a movie type story. But yeah, just looking at the doc. So God is saying it's not good for men to be alone. So what I wrote here in the doc, guys, first couple of paragraphs if you're following, is this idea of the devil doesn't really, my mom says this, and I know she copied it or somebody else said that the devil doesn't create anything. He gets what God created and he distorts it, he manipulates it and makes it into a bad thing. For example, God created sex. I don't know if you're aware of this, but God did create sex to happen within marriage, to happen for procreation, but God created sex and God made sex feel good. But what the devil does is he takes that ability of sex and he turns it into so many twisted things. He turns it into masturbation. He turns it into sex outside of marriage. He turns it into lust and so many of the things that we know are bad. And the devil, I think the devil also took this feeling that Adam had, the feeling of he didn't want to be alone. The feeling that God himself said, it's not good for a man to be alone. For it's not good for my creation to be alone. And I think the devil took that feeling and he manipulates that feeling within us. And he makes us be completely needy and very vulnerable. Does that make sense what I'm saying, guys? So what I'm saying here is that we need to be very careful because there is a biblical truth on the fact that there's a longing in us to have somebody. There's a longing within us to be with community, to have friends and people. And I think it's true now in quarantine. There's just the need for us to just be with people, right? We were at the beach with a couple of people that we haven't seen, and it just felt amazing to be out with people. But there's also a need in us to have a connection that's deeper, a connection that's based on love and based on a couple of things that we would touch on today. But people take that, and I think the devil took that and it manipulated it into something that's become very bad for us. So we now have a generation that's just a generation that's very needy, looking to fill this void with whatever happens to be in front of them, whatever happens to be easy, whatever happens to be available, and they do so, and they neglect any kind of morals and principles. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? So because there is a need, and God says it's not good for you to be alone, we take that and we say, I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be out here while it looks like everybody else has someone. So then you compromise things that you know are wrong to have somebody next to you. And so I think make sure that we point that out in our lives so then we avoid doing this. What we're going to talk about today is a couple of things that we've experienced, a couple of things that the Bible says, and also a couple of things based on this book that I have from a pastor. It's a friend of my parents. And in the book, the title is At the Right Time, the Right Way, with the Right Person. And I think those are really 3 beautiful things that we can work on in terms of relationships. We are in the time where divorce rates are about 50%. So whenever you see somebody get married, the divorce rates right now is a little bit above 50%. Meaning, me and Lala got married in April. Talita and Alex got married in May. According to normal statistics, one of us will get divorced. That's 50%, half, right? So if you have a group of friends and you have 5 couples that got married, according to statistics, 2.5 of those couples will. And it's insane statistics talking about something that's supposed to last forever. So some people might even say, because of this crazy statistics, because some of the people that are watching right now are childs of divorces, or have step parents and all this. Because of this, people are being discouraged to go into marriage, or people are not taking seriously what dating and then marriage should be. I want to say this is that marriage are supposed to be a lifetime commitment. So that's to us part. And dating should be nothing but you getting to know the person and getting to know if that person is worth getting married to or not. As simple as that. So let's get into a couple of things that I think are a big deal for us. It's motives. And I want to ask this to you, Romeo, put you on the spot here.
Yep.
What are a motive that you think somebody may have in order when they say, what, I want to start dating? What do you think it's a motive? What's the reasoning behind it that they might want to say that?
I feel like they want to have a connection with someone, like a genuine connection. Like they want to like the same things that the other person likes, or like experience new things that the person does.
Okay, so getting that extra, I guess, fellowship with that person, right? You make sure you get somebody that does different things than you. That's interesting. It's not one of the things that I wrote here, but that's a really good point. What, Raquel, how about you? What's another reasoning that people might want to say they want to get into a relationship?
The fact of that closeness with someone, and just that wanting to be with someone and be in love the way that you see like everyone else around you is sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the biggest one that we can touch on here. The motive-wise, we're talking about you look around you and you see any kind of movie, any TV show, anything, there's always the love stories. And you see that and you say, that's nice. The movie portrays it as being something beautiful. They make sure the editing looks nice. The music in the background makes you feel a lot of things. They add in a lot of beautiful romantic gestures and whatnot. So you'll want that for yourself. And then out of just the influence of TV and media and movies, you look around you and you say, like, for example, for Raquel and Romeo, you're talking to 2 married couple, right? So you may look like, hey, I want this for my life. So that could be a motive and a reasoning behind it as well. What else? What do you think would be a reason? You can use the notes too as well.
I think that the points that are in the doc cover a lot of the motives that I've experienced. I've seen other people go through, and before we jump even into like the wrong motives, I just wanted to point out something that I heard in a preaching. I was listening to, if you've heard of relationship goals, Pastor Mike Todd started a series that's called Relationship Goals Reloaded. And yeah, exactly.
Based on that book.
And
yeah.
I started listening to this Reloaded one. That, like, I think it's still going on. It's very recent. And he was saying that a lot of times people just go into relationships with the wrong motivations because they look at the wrong mirror. They reflect themselves with the wrong things. So like he was talking about how society just has like Instagram couples and all these things where people aim to be that. And he was saying how a lot of the things that we see are like people's opinions of how relationships should be. People are like, oh, I think that your boyfriend should treat you like this. I think your girlfriend should treat you like this. And he was very straight to the point where he said if something is not a principle, if it's not a biblical principle, then it's an opinion. And that's where we go wrong when we start following other people's opinions and other people's I think this, instead of going right back to the Bible and seeing what does God tell me that being in a relationship should be like? How should I be like in a relationship? How do I know that I'm ready to go into a relationship? And I think that that's the thing that we want to leave very clear too, is that before even looking at what you shouldn't do, just be very aware that the Bible is where we see what you could do, what you should do, and that's where you should look at for when you're even starting to think about this. But bringing it back to the motives, I think that we can jump into the first one. The first motive that we have in the doc here is about rivalry and competition. And I think this one is such a big deal in today's society where you just don't want to be left behind. Like, oh my God, my friend started dating, so I need to start dating right now because I don't want her to get married before me. I've seen that so many times, and that's just completely the wrong way to start off any relationship. Because let me tell you, if your motivation to get into a relationship is just so that you can beat somebody else in their relationship, you might end up screwing yourself because that person is not going to marry the person that you're getting married to. That person is going to go on and live their own life with their husband or wife, and you're going to be dealing with the person that you chose to be stuck with. So it's not a good thing to just think about it as competition. The point of it is a relationship is not a three people relationship. It's not a three people connection. It's you and that person. And obviously we bring God into that, but I'm talking about three humans. That person and their spouse are not going to be in your relationship, in your daily life. They're not going to be dealing with your struggles. So if your motivation is just, oh, let me beat that person, stop right there and don't even go further because that's completely incorrect.
Yeah. Anything you guys want to add on in terms of this rivalry and competition? I think that's very common. And I even wrote it here in the doc too, is you start dating someone just to make someone else jealous. I know that sounds very petty, but it happens more than we think it does. And you're just like, that's never the motives. I think the reason why we're laying this out is if you started a relationship and you started with this, with any of these motives, you should immediately rethink that relationship because you're standing on very shaky ground. Could it work in the future? You know, God can turn anything into possible, but there needs to be a lot of things that need to be worked on. But we're saying these motives, if that's the reason why you want to start dating, it's the reason why you're fighting with your parents that you want to start dating, they need to rethink it because they're the wrong motives. That's why we're saying here, the wrong reasoning behind it. So, Tell, if you have the doc ready for you, if you want to talk about the self-affirmation part, that'd be good.
The part with that, like the things that you should check yourself, right?
No, the wrong motives. We're talking about the wrong motives. The second
Self-affirmation.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought we were going there. Yeah, it's just that what even Rachel just said it, to not rush in a relationship so you can try. Like she said, like the fear about being alone or missing out. But I think it's all about basically how would I describe it? Yeah, to feel better about yourself. Like you basically don't understand much, or you don't love yourself enough, or there's something that you think you're missing about yourself, or just mostly you're not sure about yourself. That's how I would say. And you look for that assurance somewhere else. And that's when I think it's very, very dangerous. I think that's even why our current generation is very needy. What we even Peepin was talking about in the beginning is because they're a lack of something. And then you look for this little piece of missing inside of you, which is you basically just understanding yourself, who you are. And then you can love others. And if you even think about what the Bible says, love each other as you love yourself. So it even has that comparison as well. Like you must love yourself before you love someone else. So I think that's very important. What is going to be even one of the things that check out, and even something even my mom was saying, like it's, if I could say one thing to kids, what are the motives to start dating is, are you doing it because you just want to feel loved because you don't think, or you're lacking something, or you just want that in return because you're not self-sufficient? And I think that's something even the world preaches a lot, and just like, oh, you're looking for your other half, right? So that's a very, very common thing, or you're the other half of me, or things like this. And as cute as that sounds, hopefully that's not what we're all searching, right? I hope that's not what any of you guys are going to start searching, because we shouldn't be halves of each other. Our Lex should be as a whole self, and I should be a whole self. And when we come together, we're not completing each other because we need to. He is his whole self. When we combine, it's like, imagine two wholes coming together. That's so much stronger. When we connect two things that are half, that are parted, that means it's not an entire thing. So then mistakes can be made, errors can be, like, it can be so much worse. And I think that's why even so many relationships nowadays are so destroyed, because you just assume that other person has to complete you. And as we know, Jesus is the only one that's going to fully complete us. He's the only one that can fill us up with whatever we need.
Yeah, we'll get to that more specific in a little bit. I just want to get to the motives, because I have a part just for that, what Jesus can offer and what we're looking for in people.
I think that the dangerous thing about going into a relationship with the motive of self-affirmation also is that you're already setting a preset for how you want that person to act in the relationship. And if you already are making a list in your head of, this person needs to do this and this and this and this and this, then you're not going into a relationship ready to offer your love and ready to offer your service. You just want to be served. And a relationship is about being selfless. It's about thinking about the other person and what you can do to help them and support them, and them the same thing toward you. But if you already go in with a list of this and this and this and this, you're going to be disappointed, you're going to be hurt, and you're going to hurt the other person because you're not going to be supporting them. You're just going to be expecting them to support you. So that's also very, very tricky.
Yeah, so we'll get into it in a little bit about, we're looking for people to fill a void that's not meant for people to fill. And I want to get into that, highlight that a little bit later on. But just in terms of motives to start dating, I just want to clarify something that I think we need to know. And I think we need to know our positioning is this, is that the Bible does not talk about dating at all. The Bible talks about marriages. And of course, they had a different family structure back then. So, you had arranged marriages. So
we were betrothed to each other.
Yeah. So then, but I want to say this is that I do not believe, and that's my opinion, right? Allah saying it's not a biblical thing because the Bible doesn't talk about dating, being boyfriend and girlfriend. It just talks about marriage. But I do believe in this. And it's my opinion here. When you date somebody, if you're going into a relationship and the end goal of the relationship is not marriage, then why are you going into that relationship? That's one of the wrong motives. If you're going into a relationship, you're saying, let's say, Romeo, you're saying you want to start dating somebody, and I ask you, okay, why you want to date this person? And you say, I just want to, I think she's cool. Let's see how this goes. If the answer is, let's see how this goes, if the answer is, I don't know, we have good time together, I think she's funny, and all these things, and the answer is not, I'm dating this person because I think she might be someone that I want to spend the rest of my life with. I think we need to see relationships as something that's serious, something that we should not take lightly, and not just throw it, what, I'm talking to you now, so now you're my boyfriend. Because I believe as Christians, we date somebody to get to know them, to understand each other, and we're going to get into a couple of these checklists here in a minute. So then we can become one and get married and be with each other for the rest of our lives. I think that's the reason we need to know.
I think dating as like a pre-marriage situation where people just think, oh, it's all fun and games, we're going to go on dates, but you don't realize that it's still a responsibility that you have. And I think in my opinion, if you're dating to marry, then you should already in your dating relationship start to reflect what the Bible says a wife should be like, a husband should be like. Of course, you're not going to have those actual responsibilities if you're not married, but like as a girlfriend, for example, you should already start interceding for your boyfriend and for your future and seeing where God wants you to go. And as a boyfriend, you should, if you're both under God's purpose, you should start leading your relationship where God wants it to go. So it's a very serious commitment that people don't realize bears a lot of responsibility.
Yeah. And tonight, guys, just to let you know, so I don't want to get into the specifics of what to do in a relationship. I think our goal tonight is to talk about, is it worth getting into this relationship? And I want to get to the, if you have the right motives, the right reasoning, the right, why do you want to start getting into a relationship set? So we're not getting it tonight, at least we're not getting into the roles of a boyfriend and a girlfriend, of the husband and a wife. I want to invest more time into figuring it out if the person that you're interested in starting dating, or you are dating in secret, which we'll get into that as well, if it's worth keeping it going. Okay, and if you started for the right reason or not. So that's kind of our goal today. So another motive here that we already touched
Before
on.
we move on, I heard a quote before where it was like, if you don't date to marry, you're just dating to break up or hit a wall.
That's true.
There's no other thing for you to fall into. When I heard that, I was like, that was so like mind-boggling to me, because it was like, that's so true. If you're not dating to marry, you're dating to just break up and end things.
Exactly. So another thing we talked about already, we talked about influence. TVs, people around you. You a lot of your friends start dating. That happens a lot when you're a teenager. A lot of your friends just start having boyfriend and girlfriends, and then you just feel like, what am I supposed to do then, right? So we already touched on that. So that's a wrong motive to start. If you're just doing it because everybody else is doing it, you know, you go to your parents, mom, this person has a boyfriend, and the mom says, well, if this person jumps off a bridge, you're gonna jump off too. You know, that thing that moms say. And it's true. There's a lot of wisdom in that. Like, you're just doing it because everybody else is. That's not a reason to get into it. Another thing that I want to talk about today is immorality. And I think it's a big one. If you're going into a relationship because you think the other person is hot, it's already a big no-no, and you should know that, right? If all you have is attraction to that person, that relationship is not gonna last. It's gonna end in terrible things, because those things fade away. So you should never be the basis of anything. And I want to say, if you're starting to date anybody because you want to start acting on feelings that you have, I wrote it in here, you look to express and act on your hormonal feelings within your relationship. If that's a reason when you start dating somebody, then that's immediately the wrong reason to. If you want to start dating somebody because you want to be kissing somebody in the movie theater, that's a bad reason to go into. If you want to start dating somebody all because you want some good Instagram pictures, that's the bad reason to go for it. So all these motives, yeah.
And I think that physical attraction is obviously, it's a part of a relationship and a marriage, but it's such a small percentage compared to all that you go through in a life together, that you're just going to not be very happy when you realize, oh, maybe there should have been other reasons why I like this person and not just that I'm physically attracted to them.
Yeah, and I said this to Jean, so I don't know if there's kids watching or not, but I'll say this to keep it very PG. You know, I've waited a long time to get into the promised land. I can't even say this, right? So I'm just saying this, and then to get to have sex within marriage, that was our goal. So we did that. We got married, and we were both virgins, and then we got to that point, and then after we did it, it just, this realization of like, wow, it's amazing. It's really worth waiting for. But also, I mean, very honest here, and also like, if all people have into a marriage is that, then it's not gonna last, because it's like such a small portion of your day. Then what the hell are you gonna do with that person for the rest of the day? You're gonna be faced. If there is no other types of attraction within that relationship, it's not gonna work. And that's why a lot of relationships don't work. You go in and sue for this tension that you have, this attraction, physical attraction that you have, and then there's nothing else, because that's gonna fade away. You're gonna get used to seeing each other. You're gonna get used to being with each other. There needs to be other things as well. So that's definitely a wrong motive. It's immorality.
And also, guys, I don't know if you notice, but everybody gets old. So eventually it will fade. It doesn't matter what happens. And then all you have is the person that you truly married with, which is the character, the ethics, and everything else that involves, other than just the attraction, because it is going to fade if you're going to grow old together. just part of life.
It is, and and no matter how much money you have, you can't delay that, right? We have two more wrong motives here that I think are pretty easy, and we can just go through them real quick. It's peer pressure, right? So your friends are telling you should date this person. Your youth leader is saying you should date this person. Your parents are saying you should date this person. Then you give in, and let me tell you this: that when you're dating somebody, you are dating somebody. So the decision that you make, if you're making it off people pressuring you into doing it, you're the one that's going to be stuck with the other person. It's not going to be your parents, it's not going to be your youth leaders, it's not going to be your friends. You're the one dating that person. So make sure you make a decision knowing, okay, I want to be with this person. Okay, but also make sure you do listen to your friends and making sure you do listen to your parents and listen to advice. Some people might see something that you're not because you're blindly having a crush on that person. Make sure you listen to the advice and they'll be saying, hey, I don't think it might be good for you, or we think this guy might be good for you. Just make sure you listen to that. And another thing, I know Rachel mentioned the FOMO, the fear of missing out. Another thing I want to highlight here, a wrong motive to start dating is the fear of loss. I don't think this is as common, but it can happen. Let's say you have a really nice thing going with somebody, like you're good friends, you're in a good place, and you want to rush into a relationship because you're afraid you might lose that person if you don't. Like you say, we're 14 and we're in love for some reason. If you think you know what that means, let's start dating right away. So, because we're not gonna wait until we're 17, we're not gonna wait until this. So you're afraid that you might lose that person if you don't act on it right away, and that's definitely a wrong motive. I think let me remind you guys here that we're talking about what could become a lifelong commitment. That's what a marriage is. This is a lifelong commitment right here. So nothing that's a lifelong commitment should be a rushed commitment. You guys with me, right? You should never just, let's just do it. It should never be this. So guys, let's move into, I think, what a lot of parents might get. I think we get into a little bit of a tricky ground here. Is this question: when should you start dating? And I want to make a massive disclaimer here. This is not something that we can't put rules on you when you should start dating, okay? We all, and I wrote this here, every household has different rules, and we from Zayas CTC here, your leaders and the people that are here with us, we will never go against any of the parents' decisions. So we will go house by house. Some houses, some of your parents will say you can start dating once you hit 17. That's what happened with me. Some of your parents are cool with you dating when you're 14. Some of your parents are saying you can only start dating after you get to college. Some of your parents say you can only start dating after you do this, or, every household is going to have different rules. If you don't know what your parents' rules are for you, then sit down and talk to them. If they don't have rules, then talk to them and see if they can come up with something so you have a standard to go on. But we will not go against this. So if you come talk to us and you're saying, hey, Pedro, and this happened a couple times, I really like this girl, or I really like this guy, and she likes me back, or he likes me back. We're talking, but if you come at me with the but my parents don't let me date, then don't even come at me, because here's what I'm gonna say to you if that happens. That's great that you're liking somebody. And then I'm gonna give you the opinion of the other person because you're asking me. So here, I think the person could be great for you, right? I'm gonna say, I don't think this person is good for you. And then I'm gonna say, but it doesn't matter because I don't want you to put yourself in a position of disobeying your parents and dishonoring your parents. And I wrote this. It's not worth to start dating. Oh, I will get into this a little bit. I think I wrote this later on. When you start a relationship that is a secret, when you start a relationship that is forbidden from your parents, and maybe let's say for example here, Arlex and Talita. Let's say Arlex's family is okay with him dating, but Talita's family is saying no, I don't want you dating until later. And they start this relationship. Both Talita and Arlex are in the wrong. And you're starting a relationship, opening a massive gap, a legality, right? A hole in that for the devil to come and start influencing that relationship, because you're starting that relationship out of sin, out of secretness. So then what happens is you're opening yourself to a lot of things that you're already building a relationship upon a sinful thing. And I don't want any of you to go down the path, because then you're such an easier bait for the devil to come and get you, because your relationship is already not a blessed not being blessed by your parents, even if it's blessed by only one of the parents. That's not the point. So then you're just in a massive legality. You're letting the devil come and just chew the hell out of you. Okay, so we don't want any of you to go through this. So when should you start dating? One, only after your parents allow it and it's blessed by both parents and it's known by both parents. When that is for you, I don't know. For some of you, it's going to be before some of the others. Okay? But that's what I'll say. And then let me put in my own personal opinion, and then I want to hear what you guys have to say here, guys, when you should start dating. We have different backgrounds here. I always say this to my GP, and I'm sure you guys are all aware here, Romeo and Raquel, that in my opinion, you should only start dating after you have a car and you have a job. The reason why I say this, and I'll get into our personal experiences, is that if you don't know, me and Lala started liking each other when we were 14 going to 15. I had a rule that I could only start dating when I was 17. Did you have a rule? I don't think you had like anything set, right?
I honestly don't know.
I don't think you had anything. I think your mom was calling. I don't think you had anything. But I had a rule that I couldn't date when I was 17. So then what happened was we liked each other, but I knew if I wanted to start dating Lala, I was going to have to wait at least 3 more years. That's the math there.
Yeah.
I had to wait at least 3 more years for us to be able to actually start dating. So then we hit 17. And then 17 hit, we started dating, right? I turned 17 in November. We started dating in March. But at 17 years old, neither me or Lala had a license. We couldn't drive. I think I had just gotten my first job. Did you already start working at that time? No, right? So we essentially were stuck. We had no way to go out because we didn't drive until Talita saved the day, and we had no money really to go out. So then what I say with this is that we were not ready to really start dating. So then I look back and I say, wow, I started dating at 17, which some will say it's not that young. But then was it worth dating for that year before we both really, had a license and had a job? It wasn't until a year into our relationship. Was it worth starting there? I'd say it's not worth the trouble. So that's why I say, in my opinion, when should you start dating? Only after you have a car and you have a job. Because that means that you're more mature and you have more responsibilities, and you're in a place that it makes sense for you to start looking into a relationship. Also, remember this, you're dating to get married. So why would you start dating so young? Because that means you're going to have to wait a long time.
Which is what we did.
We started dating when we were 17, which is old for a lot of you that want to start dating right away. A lot of you crazy people. And we waited and we got married young. We got married at 23. We had a 6-year relationship. A 6-year dating relationship is massive. It's tiring. It's frustrating because it's 6 years. It got to a point, right, love, that we were just looking at each other like we just want to be together at this point. Like,
yeah, I don't think it's frustrating and like, oh my God, I'm so tired of you. I think it's frustrating to like, after you're dating somebody and you're like, I'm sure that I want to marry this person and you have to wait. I want to say that when we got to that point, we waited another like 3 years before we actually got married. It's just that you get to the point where like you're ready to like, okay, I want to live with you and I want to spend like all our time together and I want to go to the next step of our relationship, but you can't. So you kind of feel stuck and then it just gets frustrating in that sense.
Yeah. So that's why I would say, when should you start dating? I think everybody's going to have a different time. And I say it goes with household. But don't even consider dating before you have all these things, because then you're just going to be waiting a long ass time. And I don't want any of that for you guys. But I want to hear Talita and Alex. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no, I think we would completely agree. Speaking from someone that had to drive them on dates, it was very, very annoying. And I had to even find stuff to do because Lala lived kind of far, so it was very annoying. So speaking from that perspective, do not give the trouble to your siblings, the older siblings. No, but honestly, because you have a car or a job, you do have that certain responsibility. So it makes sense. And like I said, to start dating early, it's not always the best idea, or you have sometimes even the right mindset. You might not. I started dating him when I was around 16. I was not even 17. My parents actually gave me the perk of dating a little bit before the time. But I was dating him the first time for the wrong motives, which is something we talked about Literally the last, I believe, 2 or 3, which was had to do the peer pressure and the fear of loss. I know he had the chance of going to Brazil, and my parents absolutely loved him. That he was my brother's best friend. Everyone loved him and knew how much he liked me and stuff. So I definitely started dating him from the wrong motives, which did not turn out very okay since we only did it for a whole month. And then I broke up with him, and then he went back to Brazil. So yeah, and it took until I got back in a relationship. I was like 19. So I do think you gotta fully prepare yourself and kind of check yourself as well before. Not that you're going to get it right the first time. Yes, we do have the mentality of you're dating to get married, right? That's the plan. We're not just dating to enjoy, have fun, and see how it goes. And then if it doesn't, that's it. We're just leaving. Because then if you have that mentality all the time, what do you think your mentality is going to be when you get married? If it doesn't work, you're just going to leave. When we say that there's a ring here for a reason, this is forever. Like, he's stuck with me forever, and I'm stuck with him forever. So I think it's very important. But once again, not to say that it's just going to be like Peep in the last story where they just happened to get it right the first time. I didn't happen to get it right the first time. And I struggled very much with that idea because on movies, they usually get it right the first time. But it's not to say this, but if you have this mentality, like you're actually trying and you see, which we're going to talk about, even the characteristics of the person, right? Which I think when you go on dating, don't just go with the feelings, go with your mind as well. Check who is this person you want to date. And something that we always encourage, and I always tell my girls as you bit to, is be friends first. Yes, you're going to continue to be friends as you're dating, which you're going to have this partnership, this companionship. That does not change whatsoever, but be friends. Get to know the person first, especially if you guys are like younger, like 14, 15, and you start liking the guy. Be friends. Like, we're not saying that flirting is wrong. Of course, depends how you're flirting, and how appropriate the flirting is. I know my flirting was basically standing on the corner staring at the person. I was just very creepy. But that was how I was flirting because I didn't know how to talk to people, or I was afraid to. But it's important for you to actually see the person, and you see yourself as well. Would this work? Is this person the appropriate person for me as well? What do you think?
Once you start dating, I think that's a question, like Peter said, every household has its own rules. But he mentioned about having a job and having a car. You got to think about that. When you go into a relationship, you wanna do fun stuff with the person. You wanna do cool stuff. You wanna maybe go watch a movie. You wanna go bowling. You wanna go to a youth retreat together and stuff. And to do things like that, obviously, you need the money. Where does the money come from? From the job you have. So it's just a chain of things that you need to have in order to have a more, I would say, a better relationship.
Yeah, I'd say like you're actually going to have a real experience of what a life is going to look like once you can actually do sort of life with that person, right? Because then you can just have a relationship. Like, if you don't have a job or a car, you're just sort of having, like, for us people, we're just having a church relationship where you see them every Saturday and that's about it. And that doesn't show really what the relationship is going to be like.
Because the whole point of relationship that we're talking about is getting to know the person. It's like seeing, is this person is the one, because it's important. Like, dating, you can go through a breakup, right? Marriage, we don't believe in divorce. We believe that this is what God, God made marriage for us. He chose family. So, if you're looking at this person, you're like, all right, this is what I look for in a person. But then in the midst of it, you realize that that's not the person for you. Then it's okay to go through that breakup. But once you get married, that's why getting married is a huge decision. That's why the dating process is very important, because then you know what you're getting into. It prepares yourself for it.
Also, you don't want to be going out and you're like, hey, Dad, can you give me $50 because I want to go to the movies?
Or can I have some extra money because I want to buy this gift, or things like that.
It's just a little bit not okay, I think. So I think Peter has really sorted out when you say you need to have a job and a car, especially because how you're going to get to these places? You're going to drive. So what do you need in order to drive? The car.
Yeah.
So I 100% agree with you with having a job and having a car situation before dating. And also, one of my personal things is make sure you're prepared. It's not just because you have a job and you have a car and you got everything going for you. And I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to start. But like my wife was saying in the beginning of the video, do you feel as you're whole yet? So complete yourself first. Be honest to yourself first.
Yeah.
Like feel it in your heart to see if you are ready, and then start looking at your options.
Yeah. We'll get into the checklist for yourself before you start dating next. I just want to hear Romeo and Raquel take on when you should start dating. Of course, you're not yet dating, but I want to hear what you guys think. Romeo, let's start with you.
All right. Like first of all, I want to agree with you. Like, yeah, like you should be like working. You should have a car. Like,
let me bring you on because your audio is a little bit delayed.
Okay.
Say it again.
You hear me?
Yeah. Now you're saying.
Yeah. So I want to agree with you with like the whole like before you start dating, like have a job and a car, but like you also want to like be responsible. Like you want your parents to see that you're like actually responsible. Like you could leave the house and get back to your house on time.
Yeah.
Because when you're dating, like, yeah, the person like makes you feel good and you want to stay there longer and like have a good conversation. But like you also got to be responsible with your parents too, because they're the ones who let you use their car, or like if you got to go out, or if you need money like out of nowhere, like they want to see that you're responsible enough that like, oh shoot, like yeah. And then like I think over time like it develops, like they're like, oh, like yeah, we see your responsibility and stuff, and then like they see more and more of like, okay, yeah, like I trust him, like you could go out and have fun.
Yeah. How about you, Raquel? When should you start dating?
I definitely agree with the car thing. I actually have a quick story. I had this girl who was dating this person, and she wanted to take her significant other to like breakfast in the morning, and she asked me if she could use my car. And I was like, what makes you think I'm going to let you use my gas in my car? Because I know you're not coming from a good place. So I don't want you to use my car for something that I'm not letting you like use it for. And it's also not even my car for me to be letting you use it. So it's like, it's that kind of thing where it's like, I feel embarrassed if I'd had to ask someone else to like use their car or use them to take me to point A to point B. Cause it's like, how am I gonna continue this relationship with you if I can't even get you something that I want to get you, or if I can't even take you out where I want to take you out? It's that kind of thing where it's like, that's kind of, I feel like it's so hard. Most of the things are just, what you can do is like FaceTime and text and possibly even walk to each other's houses if you're really that determined to be with that person. But it's not worth the hassle, and I'm a testimony to that. Like,
yeah, plus we mean as like also the starting points, and not once again, like Peepin said, just because you got the job and now you got the car, look, I'm ready. It's just a starting point just to help out.
Yeah, and I think I say those things mainly, yeah, sure, because you can then buy her things and go out with her and actually drive her somewhere, but also that usually points to you're at a certain age and you have certain responsibilities already, right? That's why I usually say those things. But let's then get into a list that I think is very helpful, guys. Again, let me put the link again on the thing. If you want to follow along what we're saying here, I just shared a link again on the live chat from Zion CTC thing. The list you must check all before you start dating. I think this is where I think you guys need to focus on. This is what you check in yourself before you start dating. So let me go through them. Let me change the banner here for that. I don't think I wrote it. Oh, cool. I'll write it in a bit. You must be a Christian. I think it's highly important. It is essential. It is vital. What's another word we can say here? Vital, essential,
Non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable. You're muted, man.
Crucial.
Crucial. All the synonyms of it's important.
Cinnamons.
Okay. And what I'll say with this is that if you're not a Christian yourself, and I'll say this, if you don't have Jesus in your life, if you have not accepted him into your life, if you don't understand what it is to be a Christian life, if you don't understand that God called us to be holy, meaning to be separate, to be the opposite of this world, if you don't have that idea, then when you get into a relationship, you're gonna look and put on someone else what you should have been looking for in Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if you're a good person. It doesn't matter if you go to church. If you yourself are not a Christian, do not get involved in a relationship, because that's just going to open a wide up door for you to do so many things that you didn't have access to before. Okay, so please, guys, first thing you need to do, then you need to check off on that list is you must be a Christian. If you're not a Christian, then none of this is going to make sense. Then none of this godly relationship that we're trying to have in our lives is going to make sense. So check that off your life. If you're not a Christian, send us a DM on Instagram and we'll pray with you. We'll talk with you what it is to be a Christian and all that stuff.
Can I add something to that before you move on?
Go, please.
A big thing with the not being Christian part is that if they're not Christian, you are gonna have to compromise so much that you don't want to.
Yeah, we'll get into their part of it. I think that's even more crucial. But yeah, I'm just saying for us right now, you need to be a Christian, right? You need to have your own self understanding of salvation. You understand that God has saved you. You figure the necessity first. You know what matters even beyond you finding someone is you having eternal life and being saved. That's what matters. Okay, so that's the first thing. You must be a Christian. The second thing, if you guys have the list, I can pass it to you for you to read them as well. But second thing that I'll say, you must love yourself and know your worth. And I want to pass on to, I think that's the biggest fault that we have is that we don't know who we are and we don't know what our worth is. And then we get into a relationship and we get into somebody that might know this and they take advantage of this and they manipulate you. When you don't know your self-worth, when you don't know how much your value, when you don't know who you are, when you get in a relationship, either that person is going to become your self-worth and that person is going to become your identity and that relationship is going to become who you are, or that other person will just manipulate you and take control of you because you're such an easy prey, because you don't have those things figured out. You don't know who you are. Then you can't know what you're going to be when you have someone else. You know, it's what Talita was mentioning before, Tal, if you want to expand on this, is a lot of people say, you know, oh, you're my better half, you're my half, or two halves becoming one. That's not the point of relationship. The relationship is for two full-on people that are fully aware. You know, I know who I am. Lala knows who she is. We are going to get together knowing who I am, knowing who she is, and then we're going to figure it out who we are. You know?
Because the two shall become one, not the half plus a half.
Yeah, that's the math in a relationship. So, Tal, I don't know if you want to go on at this point, or else I'll go to.
Oh yeah, I think that's exactly it. If we don't know who we are, we're just going to depend on that person to tell us or fill us up to kind of say, oh, I think I feel this way or I like this way or I am certain way. I think that's very important for us to understand, and sometimes we don't really know or we're confused, and this is exactly when we shouldn't get into a relationship. If we can't figure it out, and how do you know you love yourself? It's very like it's basically how you talk about yourself, right? So that's something I even had to learn as well because I struggled with that. And it's just how you portray yourself to others and how you even talk about yourself to yourself, and everyone just talks to themselves at some point, right? So it's like, hey, I feel this way. If all you can look is just like, oh, I'm fat, I'm this way, and all the things are all negative, that already is showing that you don't really see the true value. And also something that has really touched me ever since, like, truly understanding Jesus's love for us, it's, I think, what breaks the deal for us understanding who we are. Once we see how much he valued us, that's why he actually went to the cross. That's how important to us. We wouldn't be just choosing other people to fill us or make us happy, right? We're not just choosing others because, oh, I need to be loved in this certain way, so I need to choose it. Yeah, the full-on love, who's going to give that to you is Jesus, right? So I think it's very, very important for us to understand and figure it out who we are first. And to be very honest, at the age of 14, 15, 16, sometimes depending on the person, 17, we don't really know. We are slowly figuring it out. By the age of 17, 18, you're 18 and above, you're about to get into college. You're literally figuring out your career wise, your future. And you just got out, high school is just, you're trying to get the subjects and things like this. So it's, we say age once again because of the maturity that we assume people will have at that point. But it's very important for you to understand who you are, spend some time with yourself. Like now is usually like how people just say like, do you, because then that's completely the opposite what the Bible says. Like, no, you do it for others. You put others first, but see who you are, what type of things you like. What are the things you like to do? What are the things you look forward in the person? These are things that are important. What are the principles that you have in your life? Would you break them if something like this happened? Play those questions and try to revalue yourself. I used to love taking those like funny quizzes on the magazines back then in Brazil, the Caprichos, like if you have certain question, you figured out which princess are you or which person, or like these are all very cheesy, but then it was just like, hey, which one would you choose, a horse or a dog? And you're like, these are no very similar things, but figure out who you really are, like all of you, instead of like, oh yeah, I think I don't know. It's if you have a bunch of I don't knows, that's concerning. Having a few, that's totally okay. That's part of us having an uncertain future. But you figuring out who you are, and don't just figure it out by yourself. Go to the Bible. The Bible tells you who you are, and the more you read, you're like, oh, I am a daughter of Christ. I am an ambassador. Like you go on all these things and you figure it out who you have. Yes, Rachel, those BuzzFeeds, yes, those are very fun. But you go figure it out that on your Bible. Jesus will tell you who you are. And I promise you, if you ask him, which I have before, I remember when a very long time ago, I watched this preaching moments that Carrie Job was having as one of her songs that she sang. I hope you guys know what the song is. What love is this? I love that song. If you haven't heard it, go listen to it. And one of the preachings that she did, kind of explaining the mood or what that song is all about, was she was just like, God, I know who I think I am. I know, or people have been telling me who I am. And she had an experience where she actually called out and she was just like, God, show me who you think I am. Because that's the most important, person that needs to tell me who I am. You're going to know me better than I know myself. And she had a true revelation of God. You are like this. I see you like this. You got to work on this, but you're pretty good at this. And have this. Also, talk to your parents about it. They're going to tell you, ask your friends. Get to know you before you get into a relationship. Speaking to someone that went through a phase of being single and did not like that very much and wanted to just jump right away. And when I even watched some of the videos of the relationship goals of the book that even Romeo has, the Mike Todd ones, he was just saying like the whole basically part was get to know you, be who you are, or you're going to compromise that. And when you compromise that, that's when we have an issue. Sorry, it took a while.
I wanted to point out just a quick practical way where you can measure this, just because I see this a lot in especially younger girls or people who are not that mature. If you're not comfortable with expressing your opinion next to the person that you're interested in, then you don't know who you are. And I mean, like, if Pedro is like, oh, my favorite movie is Lord of the Rings. What's your favorite movie? And I'm like, my favorite movie is also Lord of the Rings. When clearly my favorite movie is not Lord of the Rings, then I don't know who I am. If I'm just trying to piggyback off of what the other person likes or what the other person is telling me to be, then I don't know who I am. So you need to be comfortable enough expressing your opinion and not be afraid to show who you are. That's just a simple way for you to be able to measure if like, do I know who I am? And obviously that goes a lot deeper, but that's just a practical thing that I see a lot.
Side note, we watched Lord of the Rings last night, the first one. The first time she actually sat through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And she, I think
did.
we're going to finish the trilogy. So next week, she will say it's her favorite movie. I bet.
It is. I'm comfortable enough expressing my opinion, saying that it is not.
She liked it, though.
I do.
I feel like you need that sense of security in yourself before you use someone else's security blanket. People have a security blanket all the time.
Yeah, let me get into the next, and I think the next couple will sort of solidify that security for yourself first. And then third thing, you must have your parents' permission. We highlighted that already. That is a must. If you don't have your parents' blessing / permission,
don't do it.
This relationship, it's not going to be good for you. It's only going to bring back. It's not worth it, okay? That's pretty simple. And anybody want to add anything? Slap somebody in the face for this or not? And they'll send a.
Just don't do it. Like it's going to basically almost.
Pedro? Is that towards me?
No. You got out of it, girl. You got out of it.
And it's simple that the truth will always come out. So don't think that you can hide things from your parents.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's for a whole other day. That's for a whole other day.
The fourth thing that I want to say here that you must check on yourself is you must have a really good understanding of God's divine purpose. If you have no idea what that is, we did 2 special things on this. We did a callings and we did ministry a couple weeks ago.
Shameless plug.
Watch those if you have no idea, or if you haven't watched it, please go watch it. If you watch it again so you can know. There are callings and purposes for us that are clear in the Bible already that we must have right away. To be a disciple maker, to be followers of Jesus, to love. There's so many things that we already have to do. And then of course there's the ministry. Find those out first. Make it a goal to find those first before you find the person, because we're gonna get into we're gonna go into the when we get to the person, but just know you gotta know who you are in general, and also you gotta know what God has for you. That's a big thing. Then when you get into the relationship, it's such an easy, hey, I know who I am. I also know what God put me on earth to do. Are we going to match? Is it going to match or not? Is it going to be worth getting into or not? So I think that's the first thing. So you must have a good understanding of God's divine purpose for you, what God's idea for you, like why God created you. Find that out. And I think that's associated with finding your worth and finding who you are. All of God. You guys want to add on this at all, or can I just move on? I think it's.
Move on.
You must be mature. And I wrote it, you must be mature. Spiritually, you must be mature. Mentally, and you must be mature. Physically, and if you can be mature financially, that's also a great thing to be. Let me say it, you must be mature. Spiritually, you must be mature. Mentally, and you must be mature. Why is it so hard to say? Physically, and you must be mature financially if you can. So let's break down these 4. I think we're starting with spiritually. What that means. If you have an understanding who you are, God's value for you, God's purpose for you, you know your place within the church, you know your place within your community, you know what God put you in here, I'd say you're pretty mature spiritually. You have an understanding of the Holy Spirit. You have an understanding of what God has for you in your life. You're in a good place spiritually, maturity. I mean, the maturity spiritually, okay? Now, mentally mature. I think that's one that usually the girls get there before the guys do. I think just sorry, Romeo, me and Alex, and need just the truth. Get there before this, and I think mentally just means you know what's going on. You just have a pretty good understanding of what you're gonna get in your life, what you want, your dreams and reality, and you know who you can get, you know what's going on. It's just the idea of your understanding of what's going on in life. It's a maturity that all of you 13, 14, 15-year-olds don't get. Okay, once you get older, you're gonna be like, wow, I thought I knew what life was. I thought I knew what this was. When you're 13 or 14, I say this in a GP all the time, you're all like dumbasses, okay? That's just the reality, and that's what it is. So make sure you only get into, you must be mature in these areas. Okay, so spiritually, mentally, physically. That means you must be old enough. Physically, okay? That's just very simple, straight to the point. And financially. We mentioned that with jobs. I know Rachel just put in emotionally too. I think emotional is sort of a combination of spiritual, mentally, and physical. I think your emotion is in there, but we can add it as well. I think that's a good point. Emotionally, right? But that's like when you know your worth, your emotions are staying in there intact. So you must be mature, spiritually, mentally, physically, and financially. Financially, it's kind of like it's a good to have, but of course, you're not going to be mature, financially mature until you're out of college or you have a stable job. So that's what I'll say. Anyone want to add in this maturity point here? I think it's very important. We're good. Raquel, you want to say something?
I feel like without maturity, there's no real relationship. You're just playing around at this point.
Yeah.
Like, get out of the playground, kids.
For sure.
You have to say.
Another thing that I would say here is that you must have good morals and values.
Yes.
And those are all based on the Bible. You must have your morals and values based on the Bible, because once you start into a relationship, there will be a lot of opportunities for you to break those values. A lot of opportunities for you to break your principles, your Christian principles. And then you must have them set straight. You must not wait for the other person to have them. You need to have them on your own, because then you hold on to your own principles and values. And if you have no idea what they are, then you shouldn't be dating. If you don't know what your principles are, then you're so far away from this, you shouldn't even be watching this video. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not even in this conversation to want to have.
Just keep watching, please.
So make sure you have good morals and values. Also, what Talita was mentioning a little bit before, you must know what you like and what you don't like. I think this comes into the identity thing. You need to know what you like, because if you're not certain, once you get into the relationship, you're gonna start becoming like the other person. You're gonna start basing off you like based on the other person because you want to please them, or because you just have nothing to add, and then you just become what the other person is feeding you. So know what you like, know what you don't like. You start dating the person, and the person comes at you with broccoli, and I say, I do not like broccoli, and you're not going to change my mind. That's what it is. That's a healthy place to be in your relationship, right? Anyone want to add on this before we go?
I don't know if you guys know, if you ever watch Parks and Rec, and she, I remember a conversation that she had. Anne is one of the girls that is best friends with the main character. And the main character was basically calling her attention. She was just like, have you noticed that you change your basically person as you date other people? She was just like, you were dating a guy that was very athlete, you became an athlete. You were dating a guy that was more serious, you became serious. You're dating a guy, like, these are not things that should change about you, right? Your core, the person who you really are, should not alter because of someone else. Now, can you adjust? Yes, makes sense. Like certain things, like trying to eat fruit, for example, things that I'm currently living right now. But like for you to completely change your personality, or just you don't really know, so you just become that, then that is a full-on concern, and you don't really know who you are, and then you're never gonna find out, really, because you're just gonna rely on whoever next person you get.
And I think on the bright side of that, you should also know what you like, so that you can figure out the things that you have in common, Like, obviously, you don't want to be completely, like, not having anything in common with that person to the point where you can't even, like, watch a movie that you both enjoy. Like, we have things that we enjoy together, but things that we enjoy separately. So I think that there's that nice medium there.
I feel like a big thing is like everybody says opposites attract. They don't. They really don't.
Yeah, I think it's important to have certain opposites, like because it adds to the next person.
Right.
I think that's very important. But like what Last said, to be
certain opposites are like that's what you do on your own time. But what I'm saying is, like, opposites really don't attract, because all you do is end up fighting, and that fighting is always going to just deteriorate yourself.
Yeah,
to have balance. That's the important things. There are certain things that he likes that I don't like. There's certain things that I like that he doesn't like. But we have common things that we both absolutely love. So that's the balance.
Yeah. And then lastly here, that you must check. Like, I'm saying must. Okay, all capitals here. Before you get into a relationship, you must know your dreams and aspirations before the person. I want to spend a little bit of time on this, because I think it's so important for you guys. Know what you want to do for the rest of your life without the person. Like, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be an architect, you want to be an engineer, you want to be a computer scientist, you want to be a mechanic, you want to be whatever's going on in your life. Have those dreams and aspirations and goals. Like work them out before the person. Because if you don't have that and you start dating somebody, it's gonna get such a messy, tricky situation because you maybe never really said what you wanted, and that person maybe never said what they wanted. And then when you get into that relationship, you're gonna have to compromise a couple of things. I think compromise is a massive part of relationship. You know, that's what Raquel was saying. Like you need to compromise on things that you like and find that middle ground. But also, we need to be able to know what we want and what you do in your life. And I think no no person that you're dating is worth you completely changing your life.
Mm-hmm.
Because like what Talito was saying before, relationship could end, right? It's not a marriage. So if my son comes at me and says, I'm dating this girl that I like, and I say, oh, son, we like her. And then he says, and she's asking me to change my entire life for her. And I'm gonna look at him and say, son, she's just your girlfriend. It is not a lifelong commitment. So why should you commit a lifelong decision that is a career with somebody that you're not even married to? You know, so that's why it's so important, guys. Know exactly what your dreams are. Could your dreams change? Of course. Could these aspirations change? Yes. But no, because then when you get to the person and you tell them, hey, this is what my dream is. My dream is to travel all over the world. I want to be a missionary. And that person, she comes to you and says, my dream is to live in the suburbs of New Jersey. It won't work. That's why, Raquel, you're saying opposite. Like that won't work. It just won't work. Somebody's gonna be frustrated because somebody's gonna give up what's not gonna happen.
Yeah, and I think that's something I don't realize how serious that is. To where, like, let's say that was our situation, and like I gave up my whole career in order to be able to travel the world with him. Eventually, that's going to come back up in our marriage. Eventually, I'm gonna explode and I'm gonna express my frustration to where I'm gonna resent him. I'm gonna put the blame on him. I'm gonna say, this is all your fault. I didn't get to do this because of you. And it's all just gonna get messy and broken from there.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where the big thing is like, this is why you have to be strong in your morals, and you can't compromise your morals. Your morals are the most important thing about you. And if you go to compromise for one person that you could possibly not even marry, you just messed up your whole like situation right there.
Yeah. Good thing. My dad always says this. He said it when we're doing last month a special family thing. Is if you're in a relationship with somebody and you're dating, you need to have the question, how many kids do you want to have? Because if the person says 0 and you say 4, it won't. It's not gonna work then. But you gotta ask those things before the marriage. Okay, so then you say, you know what, it might not work. We might not work because of this.
And you can't just expect the person to change for you, because you can't change people. People change themselves. Like you can only change you.
So let me go through them real quick. Them again. You must be. Sorry, you must be a Christian. You must love yourself and know your worth, and that only comes with God.
Mm-hmm.
You must have your parents' permission. You must have a good understanding of God's divine purpose for you. You must be mature spiritually, mentally, physically, and hopefully financially. You must have good morals and values based on the Bible. You must know what you like and don't like. And you must know your own dreams and aspirations before the person. If you can check those things, and I'm not saying you need to have a perfect answer for all of them, right? Like, I think our whole lives, we're going to be figuring things out and trying things. That's normal. But you need to have answers to those things. Could they change? Sure. But you need to have some answers to those things. If you can answer those things and say, I'm there, I can do these things, then I think we can give you the seal of approval. I think you could start dating somebody. And I think you can be great for that person, and that person is going to be healthy and great for you. Okay, but let's go into the most controversial one. The list that he or she has to check before you start dating him or her. So guys, if you go on the first date, it'll be great if you have a questionnaire ready for that person. So you check off a couple of things because it's, a big deal. First thing, main thing, must be a Christian. That's the first thing. We believe, and the Bible believes it as well. The Bible says it so. We cannot get into a relationship, any kind of commitment with anybody that does not serve the same God that we serve. It will not work. It will not work. Unequally, what is it called? Unequally yoked marriages, covenants do not work because that person has a completely different master than you do. That person serves a different God than you do. And do not come at me saying, but I'm going to bring that person to church. That is a lie.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Because
It doesn't work.
and I love Arlex when you say this, when you're on top of a table, is it easier for you to bring somebody up with you or for somebody to bring you down? Okay? And we have countless examples and stories and people that we've met throughout our lives that they were Christians, they were part of our youth group team, they read the Bible as much as we did, they loved God as much as we did, and then they met somebody in school, they met somebody at work, they met somebody somewhere, and and that person started coming to church. They were a part of our small groups. They came to us. We met them. We went out with them. They were cool, and we're like, "Oh, this guy's nice." There's something bad, and then something happened, and that person started to change because of the one that wasn't Christian. And we have friends that we have seen leave the church because of this. I've seen leave the path of God because of the relationship. It is so much easier for somebody that's not Christian to bring you around than you to bring them in. So what I'll say to this, since our purpose is to bring people to the family of God, bring them to God as a friend. Make it your mission. Before, I really like this person. I'm going to be praying for this person a lot. But I'm going to be really close friends with this person. So bring them to God. That's going to be my first mission. And then only after I see that it's real. Not only after this person starts going to church. This person says yes to going to the youth retreat. This person says yes to going to the encounter. This person even says yes to being baptized. Only after you truly see him being a Christian or her being a Christian, then you say yes. So, guys, please, that person, your person must be Christian. Do not negotiate this. Don't think we're going to negotiate this either. You have people here that have examples of where they come to us and they say, "What do you think of this person?" I said, "Is he Christian? Is she Christian?"
That's the first question you guys always ask.
Okay, and it's real, and it's what we try to do to help you guys. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I think it's important for you to be able to see that person seeking God on their own and not just because of you. So I think that even when you start trying to bring that person to church and that person's kind of getting into it, I think you need to wait until they're into a certain level of spiritual maturity before you dive into the relationship.
Sure. Like a couple of actions, but I'm just saying this to a couple of small groups. Like, ask that person, "What's your favorite Bible character?" Just find out. If they say like Jesus, I don't know. Get them to say something because that means they've studied the Bible. They know. My favorite Bible character is David.
Why? If they know how to answer, then that's important.
I relate to David. And as a kid, I love the fact that he fought a giant. And I love the fact, but then you grow into, but I love the fact that he's so faulty, but still he worships God and he's still very repentant. Like, ask that question. What's your favorite Bible book? What's your favorite Bible verse? Just get that. Ask them. Make sure they can answer you these questions truly and honestly. Okay? So it must be Christian. And we'll just run through them. They're very sort of similar to the other one. Must have a good understanding of God's divine purpose. The person must also know why God called them or what God called them to do. Okay? It's not worth it for you to just know and that person doesn't, because what could happen is you get into a relationship and that person is going to be a shadow for you. That person's going to just be tagged along, followed along, and you're going to be influencing that person to something that maybe she or he weren't called to do. Right? Maybe that wasn't a thing, but they're just doing because you do it.
Yeah. And I think that my in-laws always say is that God combines purposes. So if his purpose and his calling is to go be a missionary in Africa, and my purpose is to be here where I am serving in my local church, those purposes don't match. So knowing your purpose and where you want to go, where God wants you to go, is super important.
Anybody want to add on that in terms of purpose? I think that's pretty straightforward, right?
It is.
It must be approved and known by both parents. We said that already. Both parents need to be involved in this. Must be approved. It must be known. It must be blessed. I cannot highlight this enough. Of course, that person also must be mature, spiritually, mentally, physically, financially, and like Rachel added here, emotionally. You don't want to deal with the baby. Okay, if you're immature and you get into it, you don't want to be carrying that person around, and you don't want to deal with that. You don't want that stress. Must be your personal choice. While having your parents and close friends' input is good, it must come down to your decision. You will be the one with the person after all. It must be your personal choice. You must like the person. You must dig the guy. You must dig the girl. You must have some interest. That's the truth. You must have the. Don't just my youth leader says this person is nice, and I saw that person play the guitar. Like what else? What else? What else can you live off? Like it must be your personal choice, please. Also, must have good inner qualities, morals, and characteristics, and you must like them.
Mm-hmm.
And that sometimes is tricky for you to know right away, because when you're in the flirting stage, a lot of things are not known, right? Because you're trying to put the best self out there so that person likes you. But let's say you get into a relationship, then you need to find, I really like this characteristics of Lala. I really like how she does this. I like how she's on time. Like one of my things that I love about Lala is how she's freaky about time, like I am. Like we both, if you call us to something, we'll be the first ones to get there. We're both like this.
True.
And so it matched, and I love that about her, the organization skills and so many things that you find out as you date the person.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she started dating me, then she started figuring out that I'm sometimes messy and all the things, but then she finds some good qualities about me out. So make sure their good qualities, morals, and characteristics. Go ahead, Tara.
If I could add something too, something that I think destroyed me. No, not destroyed, but like I think messed me up was the whole thing. Like write a list of what the person of your dreams, what you want the person of your dreams, right? And I remember I had like the biggest list in the world you could think of, all the details that are not necessary. I put it out there, and here's what I have to say. It's good for you to understand the qualities that you look in a person, which is also very important. Why you need to understand who you are, because then it makes sense why you would look such things in someone else. But you to have a full-on list, creating a list, because I know that's what we had before, on what your dream guy will be. That could also kind of block you from many things. Speaking from a personal perspective, that had all the dream, like the Prince Charming type of vibe. And he has to be certain thing and certain height and certain color, and like it would have to be all the categories. It has to do this and this and this, and I was just very detailed on things. Like could it work? Maybe, but then if you're not mentally there and all you're going to be so focused on filling out this list that you might miss out on the person. Now, once again, there are certain things that you should look, like the little checklist that we're talking about, being a Christian, knowing the purpose. Those are actually essential things to know, because then this will even dictate how your life will be afterwards. But understanding the qualities you search in a person, then I think it's important. Value, for example, that our Alex is very romantic and carinhoso, like he's very caring, is the type of person, because I am like that. If I was dating someone who was like super cold and doesn't really, like, it doesn't matter if we're close or not, then there's a difference. That's why I think it's very important. That list could be a tricky situation, but understanding the good principles, you check the person's value, you check the person's principle, you check the qualities. You basically got to look like, are these qualities that I could live up with my whole life? Are these things that I could tolerate? Am I going to be okay with? If the answer is no, don't get into it. You're not going to be like, oh, I'm going to learn to it. Like, no. There are things that you adjust, like I said, but there are things that are essential and you should not change. That's what I want to say.
That's something that's true to not only like situations in life, but like to the significant others, that sometimes what you think you want is not what God knows that you need.
Mm-hmm.
Shameless plug, Pastor Mike Todd spoke about ripping up your list. It's literally called Rip Up Your List. So definitely watch that to get more insight into that.
High expectations are usually what like break your relationship before it even starts, because you have this expectation of this guy, and then just he doesn't meet your expectations, so you get frustrated with him.
I think there's a difference, because I think we need to have a high standard.
That's
not high expect. Like, we don't need to expect a lot of that person, but you need to have a high standard for that person to be at. I think that's the place that we need to be in, right?
Yeah. I think everybody needs to have like a good like compass in their mind too. Like, hey, this person needs to treat me well and respect me and all those general things that everybody in a relationship should have, that's something that I don't think you need to compromise.
Those are like your standards, but like expectations, which is like good looking or like this or like that, those are more of like what you think you want. And it's like sometimes you don't really need that stuff to like be happy.
Right.
Yeah.
And just finishing up the list here, must think similarly to you. And this is what I was saying earlier. Like, what I mean by this is to have the same dream and purpose as you, or else what is the point of getting together if you have completely different paths ahead of you? You know, we mentioned that kind of, we touched on it a little earlier, but you must be with somebody that has similar opinions, similar things, similar thoughts, because you're going to become one. You know, you don't want to become one and be pointed to completely different directions. I think that needs to be clear. I will add something that I personally think, I wouldn't say it is a must, but I would say it is, if you can find this, that would be a great thing. And I say this to you guys is, we're speaking to a Brazilian culture audience. Even though we're all speaking in English, we spend the better part, at least I spent now the better part of my life here, you know, growing up here, and Romeo pretty much was born here. Raquel was actually born here. I think it's important that we look for people that have the similar values and cultures that we have in. I think you can run into a lot of problems if, let's say, Romeo starts dating somebody that's American, that doesn't speak a single word of Portuguese, or doesn't even care to learn, doesn't even care to get into the Brazilian life, doesn't care to eat a picanha. And like, once you understand that you're marrying two families, you're mixing that in. I can just imagine like Romita and my lady sitting down with that girl, and then like, what's gonna happen? There's gonna be no, yeah, not like, because I know some of our parents here speak English, right? And no matter if it's broken English, it's English. It's just, where is that connection gonna be? You know, how are you gonna be able to build that true connection with all of you guys? And then just I think once you have kids, imagine how complicating that's gonna be with kids. And like, we are from a Brazilian church. Even if we speak English, we still have a very Brazilian way of doing things, of being Brazilians with a American spice in it as well. But what's important, and I'm not saying it's a must, guys, I'm saying that maybe you should look, it should be in your list to maybe have a similar culture than you have. You know, or if not, then to be open to learning. Like, we have people that they're open to learning the language, and they learn the language, and they become the culture. But it's still, I would say it should be on your list for example, the person to be Brazilian. You know, I'd want my kids to marry somebody that's also Brazilian. You know, just because they're Brazilian doesn't mean they're good people. But I'm just saying it would help. It would make it easier for things to just be involved. You know?
Yeah, I just think like for the fact that they can have a relationship with the family. Like, I cannot just picture, like, for example, if I was dating like Alex that was full on American, spoke like zero Portuguese, like understood nothing. Like, I can only imagine him like sitting down with my parents. My parents just my mom would just look at him and be like, kind of conversation. And like, when you have kids, how are they going to talk to their grandparents if you're not going to enforce? Like, there's a lot of things that right when we're dating we don't necessarily think about. So I'm totally on board with Peepin on this one. It's important. Like, and as we've been talking the whole month of May at church, how important family is, you want to keep that relationship with your family even after you are married. You don't want to just get married and then you're like, well, and now I'm set. Now I get to be free and choose whatever I want to do. That's not what we've seen. We're connecting now to families, right? We still have to say whatever we're going to do with our lives, but like, we connect and we bring them together, you know? So I think it's very important that things we might not think about it now, but it might affect in things of the future.
Right. It's a big thing for my mom, especially because she's like, what if you get married to someone from a different culture and someone's stuck in their homeland? You're gonna have to go with them. Why are you gonna stay separate? So you're gonna be stuck there with them. And I see it a lot, like personally, like I have personal experience with this stuff. I feel like sometimes if you marry an American and Portuguese is going on in front of you, like, it's like you feel like, what if they're talking about me? What if I feel really like insecure? And it's like, it just doesn't make the person feel welcomed.
Yeah.
Even though Brazilians are like very welcoming people sometimes. So it's like, it's that kind of thing that like I see sometimes a lot actually. And it's like, they don't feel welcome. They probably
will feel left out as well.
Yeah. And it's like as much as you try to translate and stuff, if they don't put in the effort to learn your language and learn your culture, there's no balance there. And there's definitely that wall that you hit and you're like, well, I feel bad because I'm making you feel this way, but it's like there's nothing we can do about it. My mom speaks broken English. Like, I don't. There's.
Also, we all here go to a church that's Brazilian.
Mhm.
Yeah, we have Word with the Youth in English, but guys, our church is Brazilian. When we go out and we do the Keswick thing on the 28th, it's going to be a Brazilian, and pastor speaks Portuguese and preaches in Portuguese. It's just this. It's important that we see how important that is. I think we see how impactful that is. You know, we're a Brazilian American culture. Yes, we are. You know, a lot of us here, we are impacted by American culture. But we have a lot of Brazilians, and I think that should be something that you guys think of. I'm not saying this is a must.
Mm-hmm.
Must is to be a Christian, to know what God, you know, all these things that we are listed. Those are must. They must have. Being Brazilian, I think it makes things easier. I think it makes things go smoother for all of us Brazilians. Okay, Brazilian. And guys, I wanted to. Well, we're almost done here, guys. So if you guys have any questions, or anything, you can put them in the chat. But I want to talk about something that I think is very good for us to know is the difference between like and love.
Mhm.
And I think the truth of the matter is, I think I wrote this in the description. Like, we like someone for what they do to us, how they make us feel.
Mm-hmm.
It is in its essence a very selfish feeling. It should never be the basis of our relationship. I'm not saying it's a bad feeling, but in the essence of it, it's a very selfish because you're looking what that person is giving you. That's why you like the person. You should never go into a relationship because you like the person. But I'll say this is that we won't understand love until we are in a relationship. I know, because love is a decision that you make, and then you start studying 1 Corinthians 13, and you understand what love is and how important love is in a relationship and how it takes a while for you to get there. But love, according to the book here, this is the description of the book. Love is we love someone for who they are. That is generated out of purity, honesty, and faithfulness. This feeling is all about self-giving, never selfish.
Mm-hmm.
I think check this within yourself. You like the person, but what are the things you need to do for you to start loving the person? It's even worth it.
Mhm.
You might like, you know, the Parks and Rec, like Anita was mentioning, the main couple, they say, I love you and I like you. I
Mm-hmm.
love her and I like you. And sometimes to me, Lala, like I'm mad at her and I say, I love you, but right now I don't like you. You know, I say that to her. But if we have gone into this relationship, the basis of like, it would have been destroyed because she does things and I'm like, why are you doing this? This doesn't make sense. I get frustrated. She gets frustrated. It would have been destroyed and there's nothing else there. So do never go into a relationship just out of like I like this person. But you see something else in that person. There's had to be something else that you get out of it. It's not a selfish feeling. It's not based on the motives that we dissected earlier. And you check those boxes. But I want us to go out with, I think, the biggest takeaway that I want you guys to have is the difference between what Jesus gives us and what a relationship can give us.
Mhm.
We already established that a relationship, like a dating and then marriage, is something that God created. It's an idea of God. A family is an idea of God, is a dream of God. God dreams for you to have a family. I don't want any of you guys to say, I don't want to get married. I don't believe in marriage. Stop it. Read the Bible. If you don't believe in marriage, you don't believe in the Bible. That's what it is, because the Bible believes in marriage. The Bible is pro-marriage. The Bible loves marriage. Jesus' first miracle was within a marriage. You know, like, understand this stuff. But there are things that a marriage is supposed to give you in a dating in that way as well. And they're very different from what Jesus is supposed to give you. And I highlighted a couple things. Jesus asks us to go to him just as we are. Jesus is asking you, go when you're lost, go when you're dirty, go when you're broken, go when you don't have your identity, go when you're feeling down, go when you're not prepared, go when you're immature. Like all these things that we say you need to check. God is saying, I don't care for this, just come to me.
Mhm.
Like God is a reckless love kind of guy. So he doesn't care if you're broken, destroyed, not in the right mindset. God just wants you to come to him with honesty. Like you're saying, God, I need you because I'm broken. I need you because I'm, because he's saying to us, he is the way, he is the truth, and he is the life. Then he wants us to go to him having zero clue about our lives. Because in its essence, he made us to have no idea about these things because he is giving us the answer. He is the answer. So the reason why we have no clue, the reason why we have a need for these things to be filled out, the reason why we need to be loved and to be taken care of and all these things is because God left a hole in us for us to turn to the Creator, that is God, turn to Jesus, and then we run to Him even as we're broken, destroyed, not ready, not mature enough, not all these things. That's what Jesus is supposed to give to us. You guys understand that? Now, in a relationship, if you realize what we said for the past hour and a half, is you don't go into a relationship broken. You don't go in a relationship when you're dirty and feel the sin. You don't go into a relationship when you're tired and when you're lost and when you're crazy and when you're clueless. You don't go into a relationship with those things, because if you do, and a lot of people do, you will find maybe a little bit of the answer that will just get you enough that you think you got it, right? Maybe you have no idea what God has for you, for your life, and you have no idea of your self-worth and identity. Then you look in a relationship and you say, hey, I know what I could be. I could be a girlfriend. I could be a boyfriend. I could be a husband. I could be a wife. And then you get into that relationship and it won't work because it won't be enough. It won't satisfy you because it's not, Larissa's not supposed to satisfy me that way. And I'm not supposed to satisfy her that way. You guys understand this? So Jesus asks us to go to Him the way that we are, just as we are. But relationships with people are not supposed to be that way. And I think we need to go into a relationship healed and restored. God does not want two broken people to complete each other. He wants two full people to become one with Him. And I think that's the takeaway for us to take here, guys. And I wrote this: while our relationship with Jesus is an example of our marriage and relationship, it says, husbands, love your wife like Jesus loved the church. Well, it's an example for us to have the basis of. The way it begins must not be the same. Jesus asks us to go to Him and find in Him what we need. Our relationship must be guided by the principle of doing life together, going to Jesus together to find what you both need together, but never to go to each other from only what Jesus can offer. Am I clear here, guys? And just make sure you guys can understand here.
Mhm.
I think the beautifulness of a marriage, of a relationship, is when you seek God together. When you seek to fulfill the needs that only God can fulfill, but you can seek it together. You read the Bible together. You go to God's presence together. You live the ministry of God together. And I think that's the reason that God made it. It's not good for man to be alone. Let me give him a helper, a supporter, somebody that can help him stand when the time is right, somebody that can help him, call him on his crap, somebody that can say, hey, you're not doing this right. Let's fix it together.
There's actually a preaching that I watched not too long ago, and he was talking about how God didn't make woman from Adam's head because we're not above men, and he didn't make women out of a bone from their foot because we're not below men. They made it out of the rib to make us equal and to make us partners and to work together.
Side by side, yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead, man. You were going to say something?
No, I think he was doing the side-by-side thing.
Just side by side, yeah.
So I hope that's clear, guys. And I think in any relationship, you're not going to find attention that's going to be enough for you in a relationship.
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to find love in somebody. You're going to get frustrated because we're looking for things that only Jesus can offer.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of people say, and my aunt has always said this, is that when you go into a marriage or a relationship thinking that it's going to heal all of your wounds and it's going to deliver you and it's going to free you and it's going to get you rid of all your issues, that's not true. Instead of like a relationship getting rid of all of your issues, it only amplifies your issues. It only highlights your issues because now there's another person that's looking at them and pointing at them. And if you're not resolved in those problems that you have, that person, you're not going to be able to fully be in that relationship. And it's already going to bring a burden to the relationship that it doesn't need to begin with. So don't think that, oh, I'm going to get married to solve all of my problems and I'm going to live happily ever after. That's not how it works. Your problems come with you into a marriage.
From personal experience, I went through a 3-year-long relationship that nobody supported, number one, which was the big no-no. And number two, I was in a place like in high school where I was trying to figure myself out, and I was very like I was at like some of my lowest points, and I don't know. I was bullied a lot. I was like told that I was too tall, I was too fat, I was this, and when I was in that relationship, all he would do was point it out. All he would do is say like, "You are fat. Just get off me. Don't touch me." Like, you know, that kind of stuff where it's like, don't do anything because you are what they say you are, and that's not true. People don't define you. Um, and the more I stayed in that relationship, the more I put myself down because I didn't know my self-worth. I felt like what he was saying was true, and I just kept believing that, and that's where I fell into that hole of depression and sadness. And then I started to become anxious because I was like, what if I'm never good enough and I'm just stuck in this relationship because like I can't get out, because if I get out, what if I don't find anything better? What if I can't find anything better? What if this is my only option? I stayed in that mentality of like, if I leave, like, what is there out there for me? Like, I'm gonna be so lost. So that's something that like everybody needs to keep their eye open with. And
Yeah, really quickly, just to point out, being single is not a bad thing. There's so much beauty in your singleness, and we can go into a whole other teaching about that. But being single is not a bad thing.
mhm.
Yeah, and I think the reason why we're doing this relationship is a warning for you guys. Is maybe some of you are starting a little, even if it's a innocent little, we're just texting in secret, and I'm just, liking in the guy, just flirting back and forth. It could be dangerous. It could be a dangerous thing if it's starting in secret because it starts somewhere, right?
Yeah.
But I want you guys to know this. Please, guys, read the document. I'll place the document here again, just in case that we have here. Is that make sure you have that checklist. Don't rush into a relationship. It's not worth it. Relationships are supposed to be serious,
Mhm.
not to be thrown away, not to should be played with.
Mhm.
Relationship is not going to help you define yourself. It's only going to destroy you. It's going to bring you down.
Mhm.
So please, I want to highlight this again. What only Jesus can offer. He's the only one that can offer you salvation, identity, and unconditional love. You can only find that in Jesus.
I feel like um, it's something that comes from like me, like personal experience, guys. Like, don't like let it fly right over your head, because people with personal experience, like, it's like you went through that heartache. Why would I want to let you go through the same thing? I suffered for 3 years. Like, it was bad. Pedro, Lala, Talita, all heated warnings telling me, don't do it, don't stay here, don't do it. And the more I stayed, the sadder I became, the skinnier I became, the more closed off I became. It became like a really scary thing for me. I'm not trying to be like, oh, like it was just a bad guy. No, like he's a great kid. Like, he has good qualities. Like, he's a sweet guy. But the fact that what happened in that relationship wasn't supported by my parents, wasn't supported by my friends, wasn't supported by the people I spend my day-to-day lives with, wasn't good for me. Yeah, he wasn't Christian. We were from different backgrounds, ethnicity. We had different morals, different values, different ideas. We were so different from each other. And me forcing myself, telling me that I actually liked him, and that if this is what it is, it's what it is. Like, don't put yourself in that position, because I was in that position and it was a very dark place for me. And thank you for my leaders and the people that were always around me, who gave me a great big hug when I told them that it was all over. The day that I decided to end it was like the biggest moment in my life for me. It was like we threw a party. I just stayed in this continuous loop of breaking up and getting back together. I remember the first time he ever broke up with me, I was at a retreat, a family retreat, and Talita and Gabby ran inside the room and saw me sobbing because my friend Aaliyah didn't know what to do, and I was just sobbing. And it was like it was so like heartbreaking. But like when I look back at it, I'm like, why did I cry? That was like my opportunity to get out, and I didn't listen to it. I didn't listen to what God had for me or what God opened a door for me from. And the day that I decided that I was done with it, I kid you not, I did what Pedro says he does, prayed in the shower. I answered literally on the spot. I got a text message after I got out of the shower and I got dressed. I got that text message of like, we need to talk. And I was like, that relief was like, oh my gosh. And then FaceTime, and then it was over. And I was just like, thank God.
I appreciate Raquel sharing her testimony. And with that being said, like if any of you are liking somebody or talking somebody, or maybe even in a relationship where you're realizing that you shouldn't be in, take this opportunity to run, get out of it. Obviously, be respectful to the person. Get out of it. And if you're struggling getting out of it, come talk to us. We will not struggle with it. Trust me. I will not get out of it.
Pedro had no filter. Everybody, Pedro has zero filter when it comes to this stuff.
I will write the text for you if you want.
I will delete those pictures off your phone.
It was the most healing thing for me. Like it ended and I was like, I just couldn't believe it. Like I couldn't believe I was out of that sadness and that disparity. And I was like, free.
I wanna end tonight, guys, as we come here to the end, with a little bit of a positivity, right? I think we're saying like, look for this before you get into a relationship, but like, why is it so important for a relationship? And I highlighted what your relationship should offer to you. And I wrote 3 things that I think it's really fun and it's really important for us. It's first thing is partnership or companionship. It's really like, you know, I'm not an expert. I've only dated her for 6 months and 6 years, and now married for 2 months. But it's doing things together. It's really fun. It's like having drink, like going to the supermarket together, just realizing, wow, we are in this partnership and we are planning things. It's the 2 of us, and also feels like the 2 of us against the world. It's this really fun partnership that comes with a healthy relationship. And I think that's the point. You know, Raquel was saying the rib, it's the side-by-side thing with Adam and Eve. It's the partnership. You help each other out. You learn with each other. You love it. It's this amazing partnership. And that's what relationships should offer you. It's a partnership, not a I lead, you follow. It's a partnership.
Right.
A second thing is support. I think it's supporting each other. Is when the other person is down, you help them. And when you help her, and when I'm down, she helps me. And it's so important, the support that we give each other in a relationship. And I think that's why we get together.
And even there with you, like they're cheering you with your biggest victories. Like they're feeling with you. That's like, because they see it. That's definitely the best.
And in your marriage vows, it tells you you're there for the good times, and then they're there for the bad ones. That's what you need.
The biggest thing is like they should never bring you down from your victories. They should be like
celebrating with you.
And again, something that like is just so eye-opening to you is like that support is so nice to have. And there's a difference when you see it in when you had it like the way I did, and then you have it like the way our Lex and Talita have it, and Pedro and Lala have it. Like they have this wonderful support between them, and like it's like you're not jealous of the other person because they won their victory.
Right. Yeah, and I think support. I'm just saying, like, these are 3 massive things in a relationship: your partnership / companionship, support, and I think a big one is accountability. You have somebody that can hold you accountable. Since you're spending that much time with the person, you're sleeping with, like, you go to bed with that person, and staying in a marriage here, that person knows you're in and now, so then she can or he can hold you accountable. Like, I didn't think I say to Alex, boy, you said you were gonna lose weight, and you said you're only gonna eat chicken, but here you are ordering McDonald's, like something like this. Like, a relationship is supposed to we hold each other accountable. You know, you're like, hey, did you read your Bible today, girl?
You check each other, yeah.
You check on each other. Hey, you, and you can be like, hey, I know you're gonna do this. Let me hold you accountable to what you said. So
and the beautiful thing, we do that not because we're like, hey, you suck, you gotta do this. It's just like you truly want the best for that person. You're like, you said you're gonna do this, or you acted upon this, and it's just the joy. So
fun.
that's why we say that it's important to start building relationships, like healthy relationships now. So when you get to your marriage, you have a healthy relationship.
Mhm.
And it's not like you have an okay and then it can only get worse because you're going to be, like I said, you're going to be living with each other. Things are about to be exposed.
Right.
Things that sometimes you were just tucking it all in, but this is it will come out eventually. Things come out. So it's fun, guys. It's awesome, but we want to do it in the
Right.
good, proper way.
That's
And
why I wrote the title of this book. At the right time, at the right way, and with the right person. I think that's what we need to do. And I want to debunk. I want to go into, guys, before we end it. We're 5 minutes, guys. 5 minutes and we're over. I want to go into frequently asked questions that people ask me that people don't know. First, saying that I didn't put in the comment. I just thought about it. Do you believe in love at first sight? Absolutely not. Okay. There's no biblical point to this. Also, another thing that I didn't write in there that I just thought about is, does God choose the person for me? Did God create somebody for me? And I am wholeheartedly believing in the fact that no, I think God gave us the free will to choose what we're gonna be. I don't believe God was like, I made Pedro, and then I'm gonna make Larissa, and they're gonna get together, and it's gonna be. I don't believe it at all. I think God gives us the materials in the manual that is the Bible to be able to be wise and choose the person that we want to spend the time. This is why we're talking about this, because we have the free will to choose. We're no longer in an arranged marriage situation. But so then that gives us the power, and also gives us the power to mess up big time and get married to somebody that we weren't supposed to get married to. So please be wise. And then 2 questions that I wrote on the document, guys, really quickly here. My parents don't let me date, but I really like him or her. What should I do?
stop liking them.
I wrote a response that's nice and not too rushed. Stop talking to the person and don't start a secret relationship. Disobeying, and like I said before, disobeying and dishonoring your parents to start a relationship is a massive gap that you're opening for the devil to destroy your spiritual life and him and her as well. Nothing that needs to be done in secret is good for you. That is not the foundation of a relationship that you want to start. So I like him. My parents don't like. Can you talk to them? I'm gonna say no. Okay.
Your relationship with your parents will be ruined.
Yes, for sure. And then the last question, you guys, for us to leave. I really like him and her, but the person is not Christian. What should I do? Do not date that person.
Right.
Come friends to that person. Pray for them. Preach to them. Show them God's love, not your love. God's love is going to actually change them. Your love won't change them.
Right.
God's love changes that person. Bring them into the church. Let us talk to that person. Let us evaluate. Let us know the person. And then once we say, Raquel, I think this person is good to go. And I think you're good to go. And then, you can talk to your parents and figure all that thing out. Okay, so I think those are frequently asked questions that we have. Guys, I want to thank you guys that have been watching with us, and it's almost 2 hours. I want to thank Tarita and Alex for being here, Romeo for being here, Raquel, Lala, and I for being here. I love everybody that put in their comments and talked about relationships, and I know we have a very young audience, so I love that we get to talk about this. So you don't make mistakes that maybe some of us made. We don't make mistakes that we made. You don't go down a path that leads to things that we don't want you to be in. Okay? Like, we say these things because you don't have to go through what we went through.
Yeah.
So this is the reason why it's important that you watch, you take notes, that you remember, that you pray on it. Take a look at the doc that was in the live chat there not too long ago. Just read that over. Go through that checklist. And if you need help with anything, we are all here to help you and assist you. Your small group leader, Tarita's a small group leader, Alex started his own. So, we're here to help you guys. We know a lot about dating because we were there. Okay? We don't know a lot about marriage, so we go to people that know a lot about marriage. But dating, I think we handle it. We mastered it because we made it to the finish line of dating, which is marriage. We're starting a massive new path. But I'll end with this, guys, is once you're in a healthy relationship, you're going to understand why God wants this to be a thing for us. It's good. It's worth it. But only if it's healthy. And only if God is in the middle. If it's that you're healthy, she's healthy, and if you just get healthier together.
Yeah, I just want to encourage you guys to know that with God, it's possible to start off the right way. I know that so many of us look at this broken marriage and that broken marriage and this divorce and this household is messed up. But with God, there's a way to do it right.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect. We're all gonna make mistakes in our relationships. We've made mistakes in our relationship, but I know that we tried our best and we listened as much as we could to advice. And I believe that we had a really blessed dating relationship, and you guys can have one too when the time is right.
It's worth it. That's what I would say. It's worth it. It's worth it to wait to not have sex until you're married. It's worth it to wait
For the right person.
wait for the right person. Don't just rush into because it's no other option that I have. Nobody else. And we promise that we're gonna try to make events so you guys can mingle and find someone. You know, maybe at a church you run out of options. We want to help you guys too, right? And we help you guys find the right person.
Which is also the fun part.
Listen, harmless flirting is fun. You know, looking at hey guys.
The key there, harmless.
Harmless,
flirting.
guys, harmless.
You're not leading them on.
Yeah. What's the topic for next week? I have no idea, man. We'll figure it out.
Give us your
We'll keep you guys updated.
Yeah. Give us suggestions, messages on ZionCTC on Instagram. Guys, if you haven't already, please take a picture of your setup, post it on your Instagram story so we can repost and give a share. And I want to once again thank everybody for participating, thank everybody for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave a like on the video. And we will be back next week. I love you all. And I will see you guys at GPs this week. If you're not at GPs. Also on the 28th, so I don't forget. The 28th, we're actually having a special Sunday at Keswick, America's Keswick, which we've been there multiple times. Much of you got baptized there. We're going there for our first official get-together since the quarantine. So it's going to be very fun. I hope if you're not sick, I hope you can join us and go with your family. And it's going to be a day of us barbecuing and being outside in the lake and praying for it to be nice, for us to be playing, hanging out with each other. I miss you all. Haven't seen you all in such a long time.
I'm going to see you guys.
Yeah, so we will be back with this week. A small group's happening. Services tomorrow. A service tomorrow. Service Saturday. So do not get disconnected from us, God. We love you all, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.